We are joined now by Creighton Volleyball head coach Kirsten Bernthal Booth prior to Creighton's NCAA tournament match on Wednesday against Morehead State. If you've got a question, please use the raised hand feature and we'll start off with questions. Don't all jump at once.
Thanks, guys.
We'll start with Tim Gray from the Lincoln Journal-Star.
Coach, can you just talk about how awesome it is to be able to play in the NCAA tournament in Omaha and kind of what that means to you guys?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those years. I mean, obviously, you always want to make the tournament, and it's a tough year to make the tournament with so few at-large bids that were going to be available. But I was actually talking to Hugh McCutcheon earlier this week, and our comment was, there's probably going to be some frustrations through this, and it's going to be so different. It's going to feel like a glorified club tournament, all those things that people are saying. But how great is it to be a part of it? You know, I'm excited that we will be part of this small field that got to play during the pandemic, and I think we want to, you know, relish that opportunity, and then of course that it's a stone's throw from where we sit right now is exciting. You know, obviously wish we could get more fans in to watch, but you know, it's really exciting to be a part of for sure.
Andy?
Hey coach, sorry I had to figure out how to Google how to raise my hand. Do you guys, can you walk us through some of the logistics and some of the limitations you as a team will have to work through on this? I mean, you guys will have to stay in a hotel, right? Just like everybody else, even though you can walk back to the kids could walk back to their homes or whatever.
Yeah, so we'll check in on Sunday at the hotel. We can do it as late as we want, so we'll practice on campus and have dinner and then head over in the evening. And then Monday is kind of your, I don't even know if it's a quarantine, but your shutdown day while you're testing, and then we'll practice on Tuesday, play on Wednesday. But yeah, we'll be in the, it's not the bubble that everyone kind of heard about in Indy and San Antonio. It's not as tight. But we'll still be pretty tight with what we're doing. You know, you're testing every day, and one positive can shut you down potentially. And so we want to do all that we can to make sure that we can be on the court on Wednesday.
John?
How different is the prep, I guess, in terms of having maybe a few extra days and then also the testing piece of it as well?
Yeah, it is a little bit different prep because it doesn't feel as rushed. You know, we've dug into Morehead pretty well, and we've finalized that scout. It's kind of the way that we work, so we'll all watch it. We don't assign a coach. We all kind of do the scout. We all have different roles that we do. So we finalized that yesterday. We haven't gone through it with the team. And then we will, I'm sure Morehead's doing the same thing, we'll fully prepare for Florida since we know the opponent. You know, a lot of times, and they're not playing. You know, typically you're preparing, you know, 70% of your time, or at least what we do for one team, that first round team. You prepare a little bit for the other teams, but knowing you'll see them live. Well, in this case, we're not going to, you know, if we're fortunate enough to go on, we won't see Florida. So we will have both scouts fully prepared for the team. Now, we won't really talk to the team about Florida at all. What we will, as coaches, we'll be prepared. But I've learned over the years, I've tried to do two scouts sometimes, you know, when in conference years ago, and what happened was they'd get mixed up. Sometimes they'd think, you know, start preparing for the next team in their own, especially if the next team was more, you know, a tougher team in their head. So I've learned that that's probably not the best. Let's keep them focused on one thing. So the team will be locked in on Morehead, and then if we're fortunate to get by them, then we'll immerse ourselves in Florida with the team.
Matt?
I'm not quite sure how to say her name, but I think it's Olivia Lohmeyer. She's one of the more efficient, high volume outside that you guys have faced this year. I guess what do you see in terms of the problems she might present here? The defense has been pretty good at blocking on her.
Yeah, it's interesting on film. She's very, very good, and her numbers are incredible. But I don't think she's a one-man show, is what we've kind of picked up. I think if you look at that stat sheet, you think maybe she is, but their other outside is very good and sometimes has better matches. Their right side has really emerged as a star. Their middles will have games that they do stuff kind of similar to us in the sense of you don't know for sure. Now, there's no question Olivia is getting, she's over 4 kills per game, so she gets a lot of balls. And she doesn't hit out of the back row, so that's all front row. I think, so there's no question that she's a stud, but I don't think that we can get locked into a kid. Sometimes one kid carries a ton of load, but they've got several players that I think if we shut her down, for instance, I think they have other players that could step up. So we've got to be ready for multiple offensive attacks coming at us.
Andy, did you have another question?
Yeah, Coach, about the atmosphere that you guys are facing. Obviously, you've been in that facility and convention center for club tournaments. How important will it be to bring your own energy, and what do you expect for atmosphere inside?
That's the unknown, right? And we've talked to the team about it. Our bench is going to be really, really important. Each team has 86 tickets, so it will be equal on both sides. As far as energy, I would anticipate both sides probably using all of them. One of my questions is during those first rounds, other matches will be going on simultaneously. So are we going to hear whistles from the other court or PA? I mean, I'm not sure how separated. I know they're going to separate them in some capacity, but, can sound be separated, right? So some of those things are, going to be different than what we're used to. And I do think as coaches, we dictate a lot of how our team responds to that. So, we need to smile and say, hey, we've done this with club all the time, and just not get too worried about it, I guess, is the big thing.
Does it surprise you that they didn't look at DJ Stokel or Ralston or what have you? Because there's plenty of other facilities. Why, I don't want to put you in that spot, but why do it?
I think they did it for safety. I think if you ask them why they did it, they will say safety is why they did it. Did I anticipate that we would get a call? Yes, I did, and obviously we didn't. So, again, not worrying about it. This is what we're going to play. We're going to embrace it, and it is what it is.
We'll go back to John.
Yeah, what's weird, Kirsten, is like on one hand, you didn't have to travel, you won't have to travel, you could literally watch it at a hotel if you wanted to. But you also don't really, when was the last time you guys played inside CHI? It's been a while. So if you get it there, and then the convention center, you've not seen it. So I don't know, is there, what kind of advantage do you have being the hometown
Right.
team? You're not going to get a crowd, what is there?
Well, I think we were joking that any freshmen on teams that play have an advantage because they're just out of the club scene. So they have been in, someone was saying, well, poor Naomi Hickman, she hasn't been in a club tournament for years, right? We know the best restaurants in town, John, so that's an advantage that we have. You're right. I think not having to travel is an advantage, but you're right. It's not going to be this massive advantage that we're playing in Omaha. But I'm excited for my coaching cohorts to see Omaha, although I think we're looking at 50s. I was hoping that we'd get a little bit warmer weather, but we get CWS, I think baseball coaches think Omaha is just so great. Well, volleyball coaches think Omaha is really cold. And so I've been excited to hopefully show them a better side of Omaha.
Are there any additional questions for Kirsten? We'll go back to Matt.
Watching them, I know it's tough because they play only conference matches, so it's hard to know how it translates, but they do seem to be a strong serving side. I guess how much is that area game concern you in terms of this matchup?
Well, from what they've done in conference, their first contacts are really good, both serving and their passing probably has impressed us more than even their serving. So, and I always think those are keys to victory. So, if they're able to pass the way that they've passed throughout their conference season, that puts them in a really good situation because anytime you're in system, either team's going to score at a high rate. So, what we can do on those first contacts, most matches are determined by the serve and pass game, and that's at 12-year-old volleyball, and that's at the professional level. So those things are going to be really important.
Tim?
You have a player in Jaela Zimmerman that's kind of had a situation like this before where, she played up in Malcolm, had the state tournament basically in her backyard, and now you guys have the NCAA tournament in your backyard. Do you kind of maybe look at her as a leadership role of kind of how to handle that?
Well, Jaela's a leader for us regardless. So, I think a lot of them have had those sort of circumstances, maybe here in Nebraska, or if it be in Kansas or Wisconsin or wherever. But Jaela's definitely a leader for us, especially when we struggle and in practice. So I think she'll do a good job preparing the team for us to be ready to go Wednesday.
John?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so once you guys check in on Sunday, you're not going to practice in your facilities after that, or you're just in the bubble?
Yeah, they're careful. They're like, it's not a bubble. But we actually asked if we could come back to campus and not necessarily practice, but play dodgeball or run around in the Ruth, whatever. And we were told pretty definitively no on that. So we effectively are treated the same as every other institution on campus. So, or not on campus, every other institution at the tournament. So yeah, that is correct. We will not be on campus doing things.
Good. I know you said it's not going to be as tight as maybe the basketball controlled environments were, but are you going to get to interact with your family? Like, are the players going to get to
Good question.
see their family, or how much contact do you have there?
The short answer is no to that. We will interact just with our Tier 1 bubble. Again, I'm not supposed to use that word, am I? That Tier 1 group. So my daughter and husband, well, I'll see my husband, but my eldest leaves this afternoon for Kansas City for a tournament and gets back Sunday late, so I will not see her. So we had our goodbyes till post NCAA tournament. So no luck on seeing family, unfortunately. Which I feel more for the players, people flying in, things along those lines, which is a bummer.
We got time for a couple more. We'll go to Andy.
We just got off with John Cook, and he had talked about limitations of your travel party, even though you're not traveling that far. Is that he mentioned that's going to cause some issues with his program because 27, I think he said. Will that be any issues with you, and how do you treat that?
Yeah, 27 has not been a problem for us. Again, I think you're looking at different funding programs. Nebraska probably has double to triple the staff that we have, so they may have more issues. They may have a bigger squad. We only have 15 players on our team. I don't know how many they're carrying. So for us, 27 was not a problem. But for some of those really well-funded programs, I think it could be.
Coach, one more. How much will you, obviously you hope momentum carries from the conference tournament into this, but can you say that? I mean, have you seen examples in the past where playing well one week carries over to the next?
I think absolutely. I mean, anytime you're confident, you're going to be better, right? And I think our team feels confident. Our sports psychiatrist that works with their team made a really good point of, we have not been in a conference championship for a long, long time where the end of the season was on the line. And we didn't talk about it too much. We did a little bit, but I think the players were keenly aware that, if they lose to Marquette in that final, clearly on the bubble. And we didn't know whether we'd be, I still don't know if we would have been in or out. And so that pressure is similar to an NCAA tournament. You lose, you're done type idea. So I hope those things will bode well and just calm us down more than anything. I never think playing with fear is going to be a good thing. We want to play relaxed and go for it and let the chips fall.
And our final question for Kirsten will be with Matt DeMarinis.
Yeah, just had one on Jaela. I can remember talking to Angie before Jaela got to Creighton that she felt like there was some comparisons between her mindset and Jayla Winter's mindset in terms of short memories and competitiveness and all that sort of thing. I guess, have you seen that throughout Jayla's career come to fruition? That she seemed like she's in terms of just her ability to lead on the court with her play and her presence.
Yeah, for sure. Jaela is a short memory type player. Those are the best players, the ones that aren't going to, let something rattle them. She's got a growth mindset. She's always learning. And she has stepped up at big moments for this team, if it be offensively, if it be with a big block, if it be passing. I mean, again, a kid, she and Keeley carry a ton of load for us. And so you have to have players that are strong enough to be able to not let, if they're struggling in one area of their game, not let it destroy other areas. And both of them have proven that they can, maybe not have their best game in passing or hitting or whatever, but yet be great someplace else. And those players are special.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We will have Jaela here shortly.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Once you sit down, you can take a rest.
Hello. I'm taller than Booth. I gotta slouch a little bit.
You're good. Sit up. We'll move it up.
Okay. Thanks.
Are you good? Yep. We are now joined by Creighton Junior outside hitter Jaela Zimmerman. Again, if you've got a question, please use the raised hand feature and we will get you called on for a question. We'll start with Tim.
Hi, Jaela.
Hello.
I know when you were at Malcolm, going to the state tournament was just down the road for you. Talk to me about being at Creighton and being, in the NCAA tournament in Omaha. Is that something that you've always kind of dreamt of?
Just going to the NCAA is something that I've always dreamed of. Never really occurred to me how close it was. I don't know. I never really thought about it being in Omaha, but I knew there was a chance. So I don't know. It's going to be kind of cool just to be right down the road and be somewhere that we've played before, club tournaments, and then playing Nebraska there. It's just going to kind of be cool to now have the NCAA tournament and just mark that off my list of things I've done in Omaha.
Matt?
Hey, Jaela, we were just talking to Kirsten about kind of, I guess, some of your strengths as a player in terms of your ability to maybe suppress a part of your game that isn't going well on that particular day and enhance other areas of your game. I guess this might sound simple, but like, how do you do that? How do you, if say like you're just getting double and triple blocks all the time, and you can't put a ball down, like how do you not let that affect passing? Or if you're getting aced all the time, how do you not let that affect your timing on your jump and your connection with your setter? How do you deal with that?
Definitely had games like that. One thing, I'm like, you just can't do anything about it. Like, it happened, like, I got blocked. It's like, okay, whoop-de-doo, I can't do anything about it. So you just kind of, like, move on. I don't know, I just don't really think about it. I'm just like, well, that was embarrassing. Move on to the next thing. I don't know. Just don't really think about it too much.
John?
I've never attended a club tournament inside Convention Center in Omaha. What's it like since you have, like,
Uh-huh.
you referenced, like what's that experience like?
Very high energy, lots of games going on. I don't know how many courts there will be and how many games will be going on at once, but yeah, club tournament's very high energy, lots of good volleyball going on, so I'm not really sure how it's going to be set up, but I'm sure it'll be similar, so I'm excited. It'll be kind of interesting to see what it's like.
Andy?
When was the last time you played a club tournament there? Do you remember?
I think it would have been President's Day of my senior year, so I think that's like, yeah, I don't know. I think that would have been my last one.
And you mentioned high energy. How important is it for you guys to bring your own energy in a situation where you're going to have very, very limited support from the fans allowed in?
It'll be really important to bring our own energy. We definitely play. We play at a higher level when we have energy and we're fun and focused. Our bench does a great job of bringing energy all the time, so that's a strength of ours. And hopefully our fans that are coming will be loud and cheer us on pretty loud. So.
Matt?
Yeah, I remember Fun and Focus being a theme of last year's team, I believe.
Yeah.
And prior to it. It's kind of interesting because, you know, Kirsten will talk sometimes about some teams being better when they're looser, some teams being better when they're just like straight-laced and focused. I know you guys only had 15 matches and they've been staggered because of pauses, but do you feel like this group as a whole has figured out the best mindset to approach matches with, and what your best is, like how do you play your best depending on which one you opt to choose?
I think it's kind of the same as last year, being fun and focused, kind of being loose, but at the same time having urgency to get things done. I think that's another thing we really focus on this year is urgency and not messing around and getting things done when we can, even though we've had a lot of 5-set matches, but we are working on urgency.
Andy?
Coach talked about how important it was for you guys to, not just win that conference tournament, but win a tournament when your season was on the line. How much do you think that was that experience last week against Marquette will help you move forward in a ultimate elimination situation?
I think there's a lot of aspects of that game that will help us coming into this next week. We were down 19-12 in the third set and we came back and won, so I think that just shows how well this team fights together and how we trust each other. So I think that's something that we're going to carry into next week, and then it just gives us confidence going in, knowing that we beat a really good team in a really important situation. I think that's going to help us because, like Boo said, that's the NCAA tournament is if you lose, you're done. So that's kind of the mindset we had last weekend, and we'll bring that into this week.
Tim?
You guys are staying at a hotel, and the NCAA tournament's kind of about having fun, but taking care of business. How do you guys put those two together when you're staying at a hotel in your hometown, and just kind of the situation that it is right now?
I think when we're at the hotel, that'll be more of a time to relax and have fun. And then when we're on the court or practicing or doing scout, that'll be the time to focus and get things done. But we've already bought a golf mat or golf little green field mat or whatever that we're going to do. Everyone's bringing games. So I think the balance of having the fun off the court and then being focused and getting things done on the court is what's going to help us.
Matt?
Are you a video gamer?
No. I mean, we Mario Kart.
Okay. You good at it?
Yeah, I'm good at it.
I thought that was obviously a silly question.
Yeah, come on.
Last year you guys were maybe an inch away from the Sweet 16. Have you thought about that at all? Like, has that sat with you a little bit? I kind of see it. Just how much have you thought about how close you were to breaking through against Minnesota and that second?
I think it's just been motivation all year, and it's something that people who played last year, we just kind of think about. Not necessarily dwell on it too much, but it's just kind of a little motivation, a little motivator in the back of our minds. I haven't thought about it too much or really talked to anyone else about it, but I think it's just something that we know, like we were so close and we know that we can go far in the tournament.
John?
With the NCAA tournament, does it bring a different energy at all? Like just from the atmosphere of the matches? You mentioned urgency, that's important for you guys. I would imagine that's heightened a little bit in the tournament. What's the experience like when you step on the floor in an NCAA tournament match?
I think it'll be kind of like the Marquette game, just having that urgency and knowing that this could be our last game of the season, just going out there and having fun. And then it'll be different with not as many fans, but we'll be fine bringing our own energy. So it'll be the same as last year, obviously, but we're just grateful to play. So
Matt?
You can lean on this experience a little bit. a degree, some of the younger players who had to make big plays for you guys this past weekend. Do you have like more confidence in this younger group based on the growth they've shown you through this? Like I said, I know it's only 15 matches, but the trajectory they're on in terms of how they're playing right now going into this tournament.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job all year, and then each game they improve. I think it was the UConn game maybe in the third set when we were behind, and Kiara was serving and playing left back, and Booth wanted me to go play left back so I could get the setter down. I was like, oh no, Kiara's got it, and then she like went in and got it. I think that just shows like the confidence we all have in each other, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Like they have all been playing so great, no matter how much experience they've had or not. So really proud of everyone. We've been doing great. So.
We got time for 3 or 4 more questions with Jaela. We'll go back to Tim.
You're a leader for Creighton, and you've been called a leader in many different degrees. Where did you kind of learn to lead a team and just kind of lead yourself and your players along with you?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think I just had help from a lot of different people, like teammates, players, other players, coaches. Our team psychologist has helped me a lot. He's helped me a lot with the next step or the next play mindset, and I think that just radiates to other players and helps them as well. We all kind of help each other. Like Keely and I really bounce off each other. If one of us is struggling, the other one is stepping up. So I think just experiences I've had throughout have helped me become a better leader. So yeah, I'm not really sure. That's a good question.
Matt?
And when did you kind of know that you could be a leader?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know. I think throughout high school, I just kind of, I don't know. That's a hard question. I don't know. Sorry, I can't answer that. I don't know.
All right, we'll go to Matt.
We've all kind of seen that look you get in your eye when it's up, when it feels like an important point in the gym. It's like focus time, I guess, not fun time anymore. What's going in? What's churning in your brain when we see that look in your eye?
Let's get it over with. Let's get it done. Let's go. That's what's in my mind right now. Put the ball down, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
Does it feel different to you? Like, do you feel the pressure of moments in matches? Do you feel like, all right, this is important? Is that what kind of weird?
I don't know if it's necessarily like the pressure of the moment. I think it's just like, I don't think it's the pressure. I think it's just like motivation to get it done and like the urgency just to finish, I guess. I don't know.
All right, are there any final questions for Jaela? I'm not seeing any. Jaela, thank you for your time. Good luck next week at the NCAA tournament.
Thanks, guys.